Hey guys, Tyler Isber here from the LCS Arena, joined by the birthday boy himself, Zeyzal, coming off a 2-0 weekend for Cloud9. How's it feel? Birthday, a victory?
Feels pretty great. I mean, normally like a win, two wins feels great, but then you also get TL, the birthday. It all feels great for sure.
Coming in this weekend, I think everyone's eyes were on C9. Licorice announced that he's taking a bit of time off with an injury that's been lingering. Kuma coming in for his real first test in the LCS. You guys didn't perform the best at Rift Rivals. Did you guys feel like you had something to prove this weekend?
I think for most of us, yeah, we wanted to, especially Kumo. Obviously, it's huge for him. It's his first time really playing a full week of LCS as the starter. He played one game versus Huni last split, but it wasn't. There was nothing on the line for him. But now he was actually the starter. Everything was on the line for him, and I think coming in versus Impact and Huni, two really good tops is quite a task. But he did really well.
I talked to Kumo a bit yesterday, and I asked him how would C9 Academy do if they were in the LCS, and he was very confident that if the Academy team was in LCS, they would be a top six team, no problem. They would even give the main team a bit of a fight. How would you feel Kumo and those boys would do if they were in the LCS?
I think they're all good, and they do well in scrims versus us. We don't have full scrims with them as much anymore, but when we do, they play well, and I think their playstyle is very aggressive, and I think specifically Blabber, he has the most insane angles to punish. That's like his main strength is he's absolutely insane at punishing mistakes. Like the way he does it is so aggressive that you really can't afford to make mistakes versus him. So I think just that alone could get them a lot of wins versus lower tier teams, and I think that even a lot of the top teams like TL, us, TSM, they make a lot of mistakes that are like characteristic mistakes that you can punish. An example like Sven at versus TL, right? He was called out by Xmithy multiple times, and I think that's something Blabber can really punish, and that helps them a lot.
So just turned 20. You started as a rookie around this time last year as a 19-year-old. What's the biggest thing you've learned as a professional, a year into your LCS journey?
I think the main thing I've been trying to learn, and it's still an ongoing process, is that like criticism isn't an attack on you, and I think coming from academy, I struggled to understand that because I rarely got criticism in academy. I was always usually top performer. I was the best in my role at the time. So it was hard to get criticism there. So when I came to the main team and I got a lot of criticism, it was hard for me to understand like they weren't attacking my play or me. They were rather just trying to help me learn. And I think that's something I'm trying to learn still. And that's the biggest thing that I'm working on.
Going off that, how do you deal with obviously criticism, inside the team house, but when you go online, like after every game, there's always people on Twitter, Reddit. How do you deal with the criticism, not just from, inside with the coaches, but with, fans of all ages?
For the most part, after a game where we lose, I tend to avoid all social media. I haven't made a tweet in a long while just because I feel like almost undeserving of like doing that because it's like fan interaction after you lose just feels so bad as the pro player. I mean, not for everyone. Like a lot of my teammates will make tweets even if we lose, but for me, it feels like I'm not actually giving them any substance. I'm just losing and then making like I'll do better next time. But I think for me, yeah, I just try to avoid it. And if I do see it, I don't mind. It doesn't bother me. It isn't something I would want to look at. So I don't go through and like if we lose, I don't go through the Reddit thread, the post-match thread, and read all the comments or anything. I tend to avoid it as much as I can.
Going off of Rift Rivals, looking at that, a lot of people coming out of it double lift. Everyone's saying, "Oh, we learned a lot. We learned a lot playing against the bottom lanes, the mid laners, the top laners." What did you learn against playing against guys like Perks, Mithy, and Hillisang, those guys? What bot lane from Europe really taught you the most from the weekend or the week they were here?
I think since we didn't have Sneaky, I wasn't able to learn as much, but specifically in draft, I learned there's a lot more options than what you just see as the norm. And I think that helped create some of the scenarios that we got wins from, like the Veigar draft. We wouldn't have picked up Veigar, I'm pretty sure, unless Rift Rivals happens where we're like, well, these guys can just play whatever the hell they want, right? So why can't we pull out some new picks that maybe aren't as mechanically as intensive as like Pike in every lane or Zed, but I think that even just opening the door to new possibilities that really NA as a region hasn't explored was really good for us.
What's one thing about after a year of being in the LCS? What's one thing that you feel that you've learned, or what's the biggest difference between Zeyzal of last year rookie coming in from an academy, didn't really know much, to now being in for a year, going to Worlds, playing internationally? What's the biggest change you've seen as not just a player but as a person?
I think I've become more outspoken on what I want to do as a person and in game, and I think that it's a shift mostly from noticing results when I change how I communicate and what I ask for. So I think I've learned to be more direct about what I need and what I want in game and out of game.
Final question. We're looking ahead. C9, first place currently, tied with a few other teams. Outside of Team Liquid, because we know Team Liquid, TSM, who's one team in the league that you kind of looking out for? We have TSM, C9, Team Liquid. We know those three, but who would you say number 4 is the dark horse that we should be watching out for?
I actually think CLG and GGS are both really good. I think Optic, when Crown is playing well, is really good. So it's between one of those three. I would have to say when I play them, I would be most scared of GGS because of how they draft. It's so hard to counter. Like we don't really know what to pick into Froggen's champions, like Vel'Koz and Nivea, Karth. What do you pick into these to counter them? And then I think they're scary to draft against because of how strong Froggen's champion pool is, and I think both their whole roster is still a strong team. And then I would say Optic as well. I think Optic is really strong, especially when Crown is playing well. And I think even without Crown, they're still a strong team.
Thank you, Zeyzal. Hope you can enjoy the rest of the day. 2-0, happy birthday to you. And if you want more news and action from ESPN Esports, join us at espn.com/esports.